All right, okay. So today we're going to be talking about Java 2 Lesson 6, which is string methods. Okay, so string methods, just like how we can find the length of an array by using array.length, which is r.length. If you have an array that's named ARR, we can do that, and other things with strings as well. And so basically this lesson is a lesson where we go through different types of string methods. So to find the length of a string, so like I said, you can find the length of a string, and basically what you do is you put a string here, and then dot length, which is the method that helps you find the length of the string. And so this returns the length of a string, which is how many characters are in the string. So for example, the example that I have right here would output 2. Since H is a character and I is also a character, so put together, there would be 2 characters. And so that would be the length of that string. And for this, you can also put like empty quotes and as like just a string basically. As long as you have a string, it works, and you can find the length of the string. Okay, so to find occurrences of certain characters. So as you can see in the first one, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's string, and then dot index of, and then in these parentheses, you put the characters you want to find. And the output of this one would be 4, because for string characters, for strings, it works the same ways as arrays, so it uses the same indexes. So A would be 0, B would be 1, C would be 2, D would be 3. I think, yeah. So basically, what it does is, I think I have an error on that, but I'll fix it later. But point is, so what this does is it finds the first occurrence of DF in the string. So I think it'd be 3 instead, but I'll test it later out and like fix it. But for this one, since DF appears here, over here, it finds the first occurrence of the character. So since D is right here, then it goes to D here. And so it would print out 3, since that's where it first starts. And this one only captures the first occurrence. If this character appears again in like further on in another string, then it wouldn't catch it. And second example, if you use the same thing but you do ACB, it would print out -1, because there is no occurrence of ACB in this string ABCDEFG. So basically, if in the parentheses you put a string that doesn't exist in the string that in this the first string, then it return -1 because there's no occurrence in the string. So yeah, this method returns the index of the first occurrence of the character or characters you want to find in a given string. Each character is 1 element. Okay, so to find characters. So since we can also find index, we can also find the characters at a given index. So if you have QWERTY, and then you have .char at, and then you put 0 here, that in between the parentheses, that would be where you put an index. And so this one would return Q, because it says 0 here for the index. So you go to the first index, basically, so 0, and 0 would be Q. And so that's why it would return Q. So this method, it returns the character in the string at the index, you put it in the parentheses. Notice if you put an index too high or lower than 0, so basically if you put it the index higher than the total amount of index or lower than 0, which is negative, then you'll get a string index out of bounds exception, which just means that you entered a string index that was out of bounds. And so, yeah, that's another exception you can take note of, since it's important. And also, I forgot to mention this before, but since we haven't learned about methods before, what methods are these dot something and then parentheses. Those are what we call methods. And so to find characters, for example, you would always use dot charat and parentheses. But with these, the first string and the index, you can always change, but you have to have something there. But you can always change it. So yeah, so for the previous methods, same thing. To find characters or to find the length or to find a certain occurrence of characters, you would always use the words that I specified, which is like dot charat or like dot length, that kind of stuff. So substrings method 1. There's 2 methods in total, but they do different things. So over in the first example, you still have QWERTY and then dot substring, which is the method for this one. And in the parentheses, you put 2. And what that means is it goes to the second index, which is E, and then it returns from that index to the end of the index, to the end of the string. So it returns everything from the index you specified to the end of the string. So basically, it returns ERT because you start at E and then you go to the end. And for the second example, if you have 6, so Q is 0, W is 1, E is 2, R is 3, T is 4, Y is 5. But you can go like a step further because you still have the quote here. So you can go to 6, which would be nothing, like it'd be right after Y. And so what it returned would be the empty quotes. So this method returns the substring from the index entered to the very end of the string. The characters in front of the index are not included. So same exception occurs if you enter an index that is out of bounds. So the string index out of bounds exception. So substrings method 2. So this one is a little bit more advanced than the other one, and I think it's that slightest bit more complex. So what it is is that it still uses the same method name, which is substring. It doesn't change it at all. It's just that in these parentheses, you add something more. So QWERTY.substring, and then in these parentheses, you have 2 numbers. And what this means is that for the first number, it goes to that index, which is W in this case. And then for the second index, it goes to that index. So basically, it returns everything from the first index to the second index minus 1. So basically, it'd go from the first index to 3 minus 1, which is 2. So 1 and 2, which is W and E, which is why it returns W. So for the second one, you see here you have 2 and 2. And so the second one would be E. But then for the second index, 2 minus 1 is 1. And you can still do that. It still works and everything. But it just prints empty quotes instead of, it returns empty quotes instead of like actually putting characters. So yeah, this method is the same as the last one, except this one has a little bit more freedom with choosing where to start and stop. More stop than start, and it takes the character starting from the first index and then ends at the second index minus 1. So same thing applies here with the string index exception. Don't go out of bounds. And yeah, I think that's it. Okay. So this is like class problems. So there's 6 for now for this lesson. So you can look at these and basically just do the problems, and not gonna post the answers and probably not gonna write the answers. So, but try these problems. If you have any questions, post it in the comments below or wherever the comments are. And yeah, just make sure to do these problems. They're practice problems, so they'll help you be better in the future. So it's good practice. So make sure you do the problems. And if you have any questions or you want somebody to check it, write me a note. But yeah, otherwise this class would be ended. So thank you.